So you're all very welcome. My name is Hilary Hanbury, so I'm the Communities Manager from Business in the Community. And this webinar this morning is focused on our new Skills Match programme, and I call it new. We had planned to launch this, and we did launch it last May. This was before COVID and before we knew anything that was going to I suppose emerges or submerges in what we're currently doing at the minute. But I guess we've been working with the Be Collective team, so I'm delighted to welcome Derek Miller and George Kingston to this webinar this morning. And really we've been working with them since January, probably actually, it's probably about a year, last year, in terms of looking at the platform and building it and making it fit for purpose. And this whole programme, Skills Match, is sponsored by the Department for Communities, and it's in partnership with NICFA. So we hope that we've got the two big organisations in terms of, I suppose, building a more resilient community and voluntary sector in Northern Ireland. So I have to say it has been a lifeline for us in terms of using it during COVID, because it's just made connecting so much easier, as opposed to telephone calls or emails, which still do work, but actually to have that platform where people can use it is brilliant. We didn't know at the time, but Volunteer Now, who I know people would be familiar with, they use the same technology. They use Be Collective as well. As I say, we didn't know this at the time, but it's great because it means then when organisations register with Volunteer Now, they can simply connect into Business in the Community and our Skills Match programme. So, as I said at the start, I am not here to talk for very long. I just want to welcome everybody. We have a couple of videos to show. I have to say that this webinar is being recorded. So please do not swear. I don't think you can swear anyway because everyone's muted. But what we're going to ask you to do is that if you have any questions, just to put them in the chat. And Angela's going to keep an eye on that, and so will I. But really, this is, I guess, an opportunity for George and Derek to share with you Be Collective. I have a couple of case studies to share with you in terms of how the platform has actually worked for our members and for some of our community groups. And that involves Camp Hill, Verizon, and also Danske Bank and Tiny Life. So it's some real life examples that can show the platform working in practice and the impact it has. I suppose if I can ask you when Derek and George were talking to you about Skills Match, is to think of it as an opportunity for you to share your skills or to encourage your employees to share their skills, but also to maybe consider looking at it as a team opportunity. I'm conscious that we're all working in our own little silos at home, and it can feel quite isolating. Whereas if you had a project that maybe a particular charity or community group was seeking support or seeking advice, you as an organisation could engage other team members to work on that project. So that's what I just want you to kind of be mindful of when George and Derek are talking to you. So I think, George, am I handing over to you, and I'm going to put myself on mute?
I think so, if that's okay. Thank you.
No problem. George, thank you very much. Thank you.
No dramas. Good morning, everyone. My name's George. Yeah, thanks, Hilary, for the introduction. That's super. I work for Be Collective, and my official title is in community development. So I go around the country, the whole of the UK, speaking to loads of different organisations about what Be Collective do, introducing them to the Be Collective platform, and then working with them to build partnerships and projects. Moment of truth, let me try and share my screen, and then I will give you a bit of a crash course in what Be Collective looks like and what we do. Can you see that, Derek or Angela or Hilary?
Yes.
Yeah.
Super. Okay, so I appreciate that some people here might know what Be Collective is and some might not. So yeah, if you'll indulge me, I'm going to give a brief overview of what Be Collective do, who we are and where we're from, and then link that back to, as Hilary alluded to, our work in Northern Ireland and actually the COVID response as well. And then I've got a few visuals just to kind of bring to life what the community groups that we work with see, and how Skills Match and other volunteering opportunities and things can work with community organisations to make their lives kind of easier and more streamlined using Be Collective and in our partnerships with organisations like BITC. So first and foremost, Be Collective in a nutshell is a volunteer management platform. We have, a number of functions underneath that management platform tag, and we work with a number of different stakeholders. The first thing, and this should click through, there we go. The first thing I'm supposed to pick up on is, as I mentioned, I work with a lot of community organisations and volunteer centres, umbrella organisations, and kind of member involving organisations to launch projects that use Be Collective. It's an online platform where those organisations can, post opportunities, people can search for them and share them. It's not just for one set group of people, one stakeholder type. It's for individual volunteers to find, information and opportunities. It's for charities, not for profits. It's for community groups. And as we're here today, it's for kind of corporate organisations, businesses, and employee-supported volunteering. And that's kind of what Skills Match is about as well. So a very brief history of kind of what Be Collective, where we're from, what we do, who we are. We are primarily an Australian business. We started in Australia as part of one kind of social arm of the Wise Foundation. The Wise family used to own the Body Shop in Australia, and we've been really fortunate to get a kind of chunky philanthropic gift to create our platform from them, and have run from there. So we started in Australia 6 years ago. And yeah, in Europe, which is kind of UK and Northern Ireland, UK and Ireland at the moment, started in 2019. We are, celebrating, I think it's almost 18 months of existence in the UK, and it's been a busy one. So yeah, in terms of our work in Northern Ireland, as Hilary alluded to, we celebrated a year this week of Volunteer Now partnership, which has been fantastic. Both that and our BITC and I work come through the Department for Communities, and the funding for that has meant that we can connect with community organisations on one side, and then obviously through BITC and the NICVA partnership, connect with corporates and in ESB as well. And what that looks like really for us now is that we are starting to see, now that it's been in existence for a little while, and now that Be Collective is the chosen system, we're starting to see this kind of connected web of, and I've got a web graphic to show you, a kind of connected web of all of these different groups and all of these different individuals. And because people are using this platform, our online platform, Be Collective, to post opportunities, look at opportunities, and using projects like Skills Match to then find and best match up, we're starting to really create this kind of interconnectedness. And it works on a hyper local level. It works also on a kind of regional level, and we're starting to see that now with Northern Ireland. The next bit I want to talk about, and I've actually kind of got a slide for this because it's so kind of flexible and malleable, is obviously COVID-19. So COVID-19 has been a really interesting, obviously a difficult time for everyone, for charities and community organisations, hugely difficult. But we've, as a kind of provider and as a volunteering organisation, a platform, we have seen a lot of different kind of observations, had lots of different feedback from different people about how volunteering is changing, and that I think is relevant to what we're talking about today, to Skills Match and to BITC and to all of the different projects and stakeholder types. So we have seen some organisations really drop off their volunteering. Some people, certain types of volunteering are now not as appropriate as they were before. But we've also seen some, such as food banks and other stuff, and mutual aid groups, absolutely skyrocket through this period. And I think what that has meant is that lots of charities, community groups, and actually kind of businesses and volunteer centres as well, have appreciated their need for a digital solution. So it's a kind of change management towards a solution that is going to make virtual volunteering easy, but not only that, is going to streamline their process from working in emails, working in spreadsheets, all the way through to having a really good streamlined digital offer. In terms, and Derek and I were speaking about this yesterday, it was a kind of strange situation actually, where there was lots and lots of volunteers, and the Good Sam NHS volunteering option is I suppose quite a good example of this, where there was oodles of volunteers and there was a real kind of bank of volunteers really keen to get involved. And it's taken a little while for community organisations and opportunities to kind of catch them up. So we're getting there now. So the opportunities are catching up with the volunteers, and there's some really, really exciting stuff happening. And as Hilary mentioned, part of that's through Skills Match. So what I want to do is, I've got a couple of screens just to show you the life of the Be Collective life, I suppose, of a community organisation. This one is actually an organisation I work with in Berkshire, in Reading, in the UK, and they're fantastic Me Too club. Really, really nice people. We've spoken to them quite a lot. And I just wanted to give a real crash course in I suppose, the functionality of Be Collective, but how that links to the Skills Match project and how it links to you guys, if corporate volunteers are helping or if people are signing up to Skills Match, how that's helping community organisations. So as I mentioned, the kind of lifeblood of Be Collective is organisations can post and manage opportunities for volunteering. So the Me Too Club, for example, could post a number of different opportunities. They can share, manage, and they can post them, by the way, on the BITC Skills Match website, which Derek's going to show you in a bit. This is the Be Collective website. It's the same thing. It mirrors. So they can manage and they can post opportunities. And what that means is that people can basically apply to all of their different things in one place. When I'm thinking about the benefit for, a community organisation based on a Skills Match volunteer or based on a corporate volunteer, it's the ease with which they can measure the impact from their volunteers. It's also the ease with which they can kind of manage their members in one place. It's the ease with which, for example, I know Derek's going to talk about, you guys writing your skills. If you signed up to Skills Match, you pinpoint the different skills, and that's the way it works, so that we can match you with appropriate opportunities. That's hugely useful for charities as well, because that means that they can find appropriate volunteers where they might not have been able to before. Just very quickly, just to show you through some of the, I suppose, the kind of features and functionality of what a community organisation sees and how you guys can help. First and foremost, it offers, and by the way, it's worth me saying that every functionality I've shown you so far for these community organisations is free of charge. So we're a Tech for Good company, and what that means is that we are trying our utmost to give the best opportunity, particularly to small not-for-profits and that kind of organisation, for free opportunities and free volunteer management. What they get is a member database, and what this member database really acts like is a bit of a pseudo CRM system. And by you guys or by corporate volunteers signing up and using the Skills Match program, for example, your membership details would go through to an organisation like this, and it helps them so much. It helps them to measure how many members they've got, but not just that, it helps them with communication, it helps them with reporting, it helps them, and if I click on volunteer activity, it helps them with things like timesheets, and getting all of their volunteer hours and things like that is hugely important to a small charity when it comes to funding bids, when it comes to reporting, and all that kind of thing. And the final bit for me, I suppose, is just to dive a little bit further into that reporting. And again, this is free functionality for community groups, and it's about it's all about automation. It's all about the fact that from the starting point of a volunteer applying to an opportunity through Skills Match, those hours are then dragged all the way through for a community organisation's reports, as you can see on the screen. And those community organisation reports are invaluable for them. If they can measure their social impact value, they can pinpoint different, if I scroll down, I think you can pinpoint different months of the year when different volunteers have been working, and they can really kind of plan their plan of attack for the following year, for example, based on that. And it's really useful for them. I suppose the closing bit for me, and that's I appreciate it's a fair bit of information, but hopefully that's all relatively kind of enlightening, is that if you guys are currently working, I mentioned we work with Volunteer Now and obviously BITC, but if you guys work with community organisations that you think could benefit perhaps from the system, and you guys work with them and you would like to see them on here, you'd like to see their opportunities even on Skills Match, please, more than happy for you to share our details with them. And other than that, I think that's about me. I'm going to hand back to Hilary. Hilary, I think you've got a short video to kind of sample how this community versus corporate works. Let me stop sharing.
Thank you so much. And I mean, as George said, that's a whistle-stop tour in terms of what this platform can do for community groups. And I suppose a shameless plug as well for me that if anybody on this call knows of any charities or community groups or schools that are seeking support, be it skills, be it for equipment or PP or whatever it might happen to be, please do direct them towards the platform, because that is the best way that we can go out to all of our members within business in the community and have that request picked up. People, yes, they'll ring me and they'll email me, but my scope, I wish I knew everybody in Northern Ireland. I don't. Whereas if they go to the platform, at least there's an opportunity that people will look at it and hopefully get that match. So this is very much, the next video I'm going to show, it's very much hot off the press. And I had to actually email Alison from Danske Bank this morning because our comms, Helen, was working on it at 7:30 this morning. So this is a video that kind of showcases Catherine Byrne from Danske Bank and Valerie Cromie from Tiny Life. And I'm hoping now if I share my screen, this will play for you. It is very hot off the press. It needs probably maybe a little bit more editing, Alison, so don't shout at me too much. So let's see.
When the little ones are born so early, they're going to spend an awfully long time in neonatal, but they need a lot of extra support once they come out of hospital. And that's where Tiny Life really walks that, takes them by the hand, walks that journey with them. Premature babies can arrive as early as 24 weeks, weighing as little as 1 pound. So that's just half a bag of sugar. Really very fragile, very sick babies. And of course, very stressed parents because they haven't expected that this baby's arriving at 24 weeks. Some of those families, it's 100 days before they get to hold their baby. We've had an organisational review, and it was pointed out very clearly that digital was an area that we needed to strengthen.
My background is digital. I came from an agency and I specialised in digital. I think people are now realising that they need to have somebody in a role to help them grow their business in a digital way.
Catherine was like our guardian angel. She just came out, had all the answers. It was very calm and yes, that's not a problem and this is how we do it. And actually what I asked Catherine to do was take a look at our social media. One of the things we were doing for World Prematurity Day was Twitter chat. And I said to Catherine, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start with this. What does it actually even mean? So Catherine went away off and had a wee look to see, well, she could find out because it was new to her as well. So I suppose that's the beauty of these things that we both learned from it.
Danske Bank has quite a strong ethos whenever it comes to volunteering. They really encourage their staff to get involved in the community, which is great. A story went up and because I was new to the bank, I thought I'd get involved. So I contacted Angela. She pointed me in the direction of the skills match. The digital side of things is something that I know I'm comfortable with. I wanted just to see if there was anything in that space where I could help out. And I saw Tiny Life's respond. I think the whole pandemic has put a lot of things in perspective. And I suppose it's shown that your community is quite small. Helping people out at a time of need can go quite a long way. The whole thing has changed the way I've thought about things. And if I can do a little bit to help somebody else out, why wouldn't I? We've had conversations internally as everyone's quite open in terms of sharing how they've helped out or volunteered for an organisation, and in terms of wider with my family and things like that, just having conversations about even little things that you can do, just sort of help out or give back.
Many of our families, because they haven't been able to come together, have really needed support around confidence. And our family support officers are able to dial in or video in with that family. But it is just about giving advice at this stage and supporting them along the journey. And, let's face it, everybody's on their phone now, so that's the first point of contact is let's go digital. See what Mr. Google has to say.
Taking an hour out of your day to help out Valerie, it's given her a few tools that she has appreciated, and it's in the grand scheme of things, when you're busy and you're trying to get your work done, you maybe don't think about the impact that actually just giving somebody else a hand can have. For something that's relatively straightforward for me to do, it can actually help somebody else out and it can make things a lot easier for somebody else. Happy to help in any way that I can.
People maybe are a bit reticent to volunteer because they think it's going to be all consuming, there's too much time involved and all the rest of it. And I think that, that's for the volunteer and the company to iron that out. I said from the very outset, it's not going to be onerous. What we wanted to look more professional, have our posts more clear, more succinct, more focused, and Catherine has helped us do all of them. Catherine has saved us time, she's saved us money, she's given me new skills which are fantastic and I can pass on to my staff. And just having a Catherine there has made life easy. I would highly recommend it, that companies give up their time and that charities avail of those resources that are out there.
You go into something and you might think it's one-sided, that you're helping a business out, but you actually never know. The information that I've got from Valerie as well has been really, really beneficial.
So I think everyone needs a Catherine. That should be a hashtag. I need a Catherine. So listen, I say that has just been finished this morning, and we'll put that up on our YouTube site. And I hope you find that useful, just in terms of the relationship there between Tiny Life and Danske Bank. And I guess it just goes to show that somebody who thinks, well, I know a little bit, can actually do an awful lot in terms of helping and sharing their skills. And it is also about managing expectations. You know, Valerie was very clear at the outset to say, you know, we don't really probably need too much. It's just about getting our message on point. So as I say, thank you so much, Alison, for allowing me to share that. Very much hot off the press. It's the first time Alison's seen it too. So that's the bit. I'm going to hand over now, I think, to Derek. Is that right? For you to take a glug of water. Love that.
I mean, you just timed that perfectly, Hilary. I was just like, give me 10 more seconds. But yeah, good morning, everyone. My name's Derek, and yeah, I'm from Be Collective as well. And that's the first time I've seen that video, and I think that kind of sums up what we're in this for. Just a little bit about me and why I'm here. I suppose I've both worked in-house and looking at ESV from inside an organisation, but also from a charity perspective and looking at that mass volunteering angle and seeing corporate volunteering work in the community. And I've always been a big believer in people using their skills and having those conversations at the right time to support organizations. Because I think in charities, when you work in a charity, you're a specialist in that field. You know that charity, you know that cause inside out, but generally you're a generalist across everything else. You maybe know a little bit about accounting, you know a little bit about ops, you know a little bit about something else, which is in your job description, where you just need to get done because that's just the way charities work. Whereas a conversation with someone, it might just be an hour, it could be half an hour, can open a whole new plethora of different ideas, different skills, and that ability to just kind of unlock and just share that skill set is really, really valuable. And I think what we've noticed, particularly in the conversations we're having, is there was already the shift in the UK away from the classic team day volunteering, which we saw 5-10 years ago, to people looking to want to give skills, etc. But what has actually happened during the last year is that's also almost accelerated a little bit. Organizations and charities have realized they need help in certain areas, whether that was digital support, whether that is health and safety support in terms of moving back into office spaces, whether it is that ability to market or fundraise differently because they can't do it how they used to. And there's definitely been a shift. And charities have been a bit more savvy in actually saying, what is the impact a volunteer can have on our organization? Whereas before it might have been we want to get volunteers in to build a relationship. It's now actually, what does that volunteer bring to us? How do they support us and give back and basically help us grow? And it's that reevaluation of the short term and long term, and say, we've got a need right now, such as we need to get all of our participants on digital platforms to be able to continue delivering our services. Really big piece of project. But then it's also the more long-term projects of actually our funding revenues are changing completely, because we used to do a lot of collections, etc. on the high street. Now we need to pivot that and look at that a different way. And that's where skills within organizations really come in. I think Hilary mentioned right at the start the idea of a project, and I think it's positioning team projects slightly differently. It's like, actually, no, we want to help this organization to achieve X goal. Who in the organization can help, and what's that project team look like to give the ability to do that? Particularly with some of the bigger organizations I know are on this call today, is that kind of, who from marketing, who from finance, who from operations can come together and basically support this charity, because there's some real worth and real ability to do that within an organization. But yeah, I'll get off my soapbox because I'm basically, as George alluded, here to show you a little bit about how we're working with BIC and that element of our infrastructure implanted in the website. So let me just quickly share my screen. So hopefully you can all see the Skills Match website. Now, there is a special URL link to this, which is skillsmatchni.com. So if you just hit enter, that would actually bring you to the Skills Match website. And there's 3 main call to actions on this page. The first, I'm just going to quickly go past because it's not very relevant for you as organizations. But if you do know of a charity or community group who would like to be involved, just direct them to here and ask them to register via this button here. That'll send a notification to the guys at BITC, and they'll get in contact with those organizations to explain a bit more about the program and take it from there. However, there's two things I want to pull your attention to. One is the skills match opportunities that are currently live, and one which is registering for their skills bank. As we've kind of alluded to, charities are still in this flux. They're still in this phase of, oh, I'm digital now, I can go for this, or I'm not quite sure what I need. And that's a really interesting space to be in, that they know they need some support in marketing, but they can't articulate what that actually is in terms of business need. We all know when we speak to a marketing department, that could be everything from DMs through social media to any other types of campaigns, but they just need that kind of quick chat to understand what the actual ask is first. So what we have here is, firstly, our technology is embedded into BITC's website to just share opportunities. So currently there's a handful of opportunities on here, and I know Hilary and Angela have got a whole other set which are kind of in that kind of sorting out phase, just to get them in the right level before they get put on the website. But an example of, they've got mentors for treasurers of organizations, advice on submitting tenders. There's one around promotion and marketing for social media as well. So there's a few different types of things there, but they're always going to be evolving. And what you can do is either search by cause, so causes that your employees care about, or the skills that they're looking to give back in. And if they find the right one, all they need to do, so let's just say they've decided to help on the social media opportunity, find a little bit about it, and then click apply. And by clicking apply, that would take them to the Be Collective platform to apply directly there. Really straightforward. That application would go to the hosting body. So that, in this case, it would be a BITC, but in this case, it would be Springboard's opportunities, and it gives them the opportunity to make contact with that volunteer, explain a bit more about the project, and then approve them. And as soon as they click approve, that's when the whole tracking element comes in, and they're able to record data, but also the volunteer gets to see how they're giving back as well. I'll touch on that a little bit later. The second option is to register. Now, if there's nothing there which suits how you want to give back, rest assured there will be. It's just we haven't found out about it yet. So it's the ability to basically build this bank of skills, and excuse the phrase, but that kind of ability for Hilary or Angela to click and see what skills are available and then direct and share them with the relevant parties. And to do that, we're just asking you to register. Now, I'm not going to click this button because I'll get shouted out by Angela for registering a ghost user again. So I've got some slides instead, which kind of direct through Be Collective. So what we'd ask you to do is go to skillsmatchni.com, click on the Here button, and it'll take you to this page. At first stage, you have to register Be Collective, just like any other platform. And then the second page would be Skills Match, and that's where they capture a few different information about you and your employees, just so they got the information ready to go when those opportunities come through. And once you've registered, you'll be landed on this page. Really straightforward. And I'm just going to show you what that page looks like in real life. So this is my BC tester. Excuse the robot. And this is the homepage for Be Collective. It looks the same for any volunteer. Any volunteer can set up their own group. I'm not going to go into all that because I'll be here for another hour. But what I just want to quickly show you was a couple of things. One is volunteer suggestions. So our platform has an algorithm that pulls through opportunities that you might be interested in. So it might be the case that there's another opportunity out there in the ether in Northern Ireland through our work in Northern Ireland that actually could be applicable, or just hasn't come through the skills match yet. Again, it might just pop up here. So just to be aware, so for example, Park Cartons UK have got a finance mentor. That might not be on the BIC Skills Match website yet. So that algorithm's pulling stuff through. But what we'd ask you to do is actually go to your profile and just upload a couple of your skills you're looking to give back. So currently I've got accounting in there, but let's just say I want to look at marketing. All I need to do is click, type in marketing, marketing strategy planning, and click save. And then that would update. And as you can see, that's grey. That's because I've updated that. Now, our technology actually recognizes when you've done this through volunteering as well. So it gives that kind of verified ability to say, actually, this person is good at this and this person's done that. But we take it one stage further. I'm just going to jump onto one of our demos to show you because it looks much better here because it's, but we collect data for the volunteer as well, and the volunteer can see how they're giving back. They can see they're given 62 hours back, but they can take that one step further and actually see where the hours are. They can see what skills they've gained. They can see thanks and notes of gratitude coming from the different organizations. And if they really wanted to, they could then export that into a PDF and download that information. But it's all about skill development. It's all about the ability to say, yes, this is great, but also we all live in a society where we help in different ways. And it might be 2 hours with a community group down the road where I'm just helping out because my son or daughter goes there. Or it might be I'm actually giving my business skills to another organization at the other side of Northern Ireland digitally because I can do that. So it's ability to kind of build those skills up and support your local community, because one of the luxuries, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen there, one of the luxuries of Be Collective and how we're working in Northern Ireland is for us to really take a step back and work with the department communities as well and say, actually, this is how we're supporting the community sector, or how volunteers are working in Northern Ireland, and looking at different ways and different activations. And I think that's where the interesting work is going to really come in the next year. And I'm loving how Hillary's nodding away there as well. But yeah, working with NICVA, working with Volunteer Now, working with BIC, and looking at how best to support volunteering and that sector. And so again, I suppose to end, like, my pledge would be around that, getting on board and joining in and helping build the spider web, helping connect, making it easier for organizations is really, really key. And it's something we really want to help with. And as George alluded to, if there's organizations who need support, we're here to help. The guys at BIC are there to help. Even the guys at Volunteer Now are there to help as well. So we're all part of this. We're part of the greater good, and it's about just supporting people to give back more. But I'm going to, on that note, hand back to Hilary.
Great, thank you very much, Derek. That's brilliant. And look, I'm conscious, folks, this is a whistle-stop tour of this platform. It'll probably take you, to go into to explore it. It's very similar to Facebook, I would say too, just in terms of the tabs. So it is very intuitive in terms of using it. And I suppose I would like to add as well that there's lots of community groups and charities that Angela, myself, and Denise are talking to, and they're maybe not confident in using this platform just yet. That's a digital skills issue, and we are working on that. So Angela and I would have a number of requests, and even I know last week Angela was talking to Betty from Senec, and she's looking for board members with a specific skill set. So if you are interested in anything and you don't see anything on the platform at the minute, please do get in contact with yourselves, because as I say, there are projects there. It's just, we're trying to encourage the groups to use the platform, but look, it's like anything when it's new technology, they're a bit frightened that they might break it. But I suppose that's what I'd like to add. There was a question that came through in the chat there, and from Bernie. And do you know what, Bernie? This could open a whole can here in terms of, we could probably take it over the next hour. But you had mentioned about signing up to the platform, and in terms of measuring the impact. Do you want to ask the question, just Bernie? There, you're unmuted.
Yeah, so George, you had outlined, about the reporting that was available for the community groups in terms of, building up that profile, the number of volunteers, and as a corporate, that's something that we would be interested in terms of, reporting out on our number of volunteers, for example, for employees who get involved from all state Northern Ireland.
So at present, using the Skills Match platform, I know that individuals sign up for the opportunities that are hosted by community groups. Any group on Be Collective has the capability to see that reporting. So if you were to create your own all-state group, yes, you would get that reporting. I suppose, and I suppose, as Hilary says, there's a lot to talk about in this section, but there's a number of different possibilities of how you guys could kind of use that to get even more information and even more reports. What I haven't touched on today is what we call BC Plus, and BC Plus is a kind of paid subscription for larger organizations that will allow you to do a number of different it's a deeper dive into impact. There's a option to do hierarchies, and there's a whole wealth of different functionality available through that, which could be potentially interesting for for Allstate or other corporate partners. Derek, I know that you probably harbour, I think that's about everything, isn't it, on that one?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's one of those that where we're looking at that kind of Hillary and the guys can capture that information, share it with you, but there's also other ways of doing it as well. And I think it depends on what you're looking for, and we could definitely have those conversations separately, because yeah, we could be here for another hour.
Okay.
Again, if anyone's interested in the Be Collective Plus, again, it is, as George has alluded to, it is a paid subscription, but as you say, for a big organisation, it could be exactly what you're looking for in terms of capturing what your employees are doing, and also that magic words of measuring impact, which we know everyone is always looking for in terms of board papers. So again, if anyone's interested, please email me, or I mean, I'm sure you'll find the guys online. There's no more questions, but I do have one more video to share with you, and that is through Camp Hill Community Group. And if anyone knows Camp Hill, I really miss it. I used to be there nearly every week in the summer. It's a beautiful place between Hollywood and Bangor, and it's for adults with severe learning difficulties, and they have about 100 acres. And I know that I've been out with a number of our members in terms of doing practical volunteering. That unfortunately has stopped. Angela and I are going a bit stir crazy. We really do miss getting out and about, I'm sure, like everybody else. But if you have a couple of minutes, folks, I'm going to play this video. It is only 2 minutes. You may have seen it actually in the original e-shot that went out. So if you want to go on, that's absolutely fine. As I say, if you have any more questions, you can email me directly or Angela. But I'll share this video with you now.
My name is Vincent Reynolds from the Camp Hill Community Glencraig, the community to look after children with special needs. We wanted to have a conference bringing together these volunteers, the people from the partner countries, celebrating Camp Hill's 80th anniversary, but also promoting and looking at new ways to support volunteers.
Mike Agus, I work for Verizon, so they're a large technology telecom business. The charities and small organisations really struggling with getting themselves into the online environment, from having typically been involved in very much face-to-face interactions to suddenly overnight having to take all of their operations and take them online was a massive challenge for any organisation, but especially for many smaller charities. And we recognised that was absolutely an area where we had some expertise and we could support.
So as time went on, it became more that it was going to have to be a virtual conference.
We got introduced to Vincent, and we just really wanted to understand a lot more about what Camp Hill are, what they do, and what Vincent really needed support around.
And then, suddenly I got this email from Angela and Mike that, they'd be interested in helping us, and they wanted a meeting, and it was just fantastic, the support. I had been sort of trying to figure this out myself, but, we spent about a half an hour, which would probably have taken me 6 months to figure out. It was just fantastic. That
it's really just being able to use some of the skills and expertise we've got to try and bring people into that technical age to allow for these sorts of things. We're all in the same boat at the moment, and any support that we can give to ensure that operationally they can keep going and keep doing the great work is absolutely worthwhile.
We wouldn't have been able to get in contact with Mike throughout, your help. Yeah, so that was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Facilitation from business in the community and skills match is essential. It's really appreciated.
Oh, so that's the end of this webinar. I hope everyone has found it useful.